I saw a fair few Watford tweets in mid-January saying that the job Valerien Ismael is doing is brilliant. So what's changed over the last 8 weeks?
Watford can't keep doing this. They've got to stick with someone at some point.
I think he should have been given at least until the end of the season.
They're not going to progress as a football club by just doing this all the time.
It's just pathetic. It's pathetic, and the club's going nowhere.
Hello and welcome to the Second Tier Podcast. I'm Ryan Dilks and I'm joined by the Father's Day to my Mother's Day. It's Justin Peach.
Good day to you, Ryan.
Happy Mothering Sunday. Justin, how is your mother? I haven't seen her in a while.
I don't think I have either. I should do, really, because it's Mothering Sunday.
Have you not got her a card, at least?
Not yet. It's technically not my day off
today.
What
do you mean not
No.
yet?
It's my day off. I am a bad son. I understand that. I've committed a cardinal sin of being a son today. And I will make it up to her. Yeah, there we go. And I will make it up. I will make it up. Yes, the listeners get it. And I will make it up to tomorrow when I don't have to record this podcast, this burden.
You're a burden to your mother. I can't believe you've not got her a card yet on Mother's Day.
Have you got your mother a card?
Yes.
Have you taken it to her?
No, because I'm seeing her after this.
There you go. I'm seeing my mother after this as well, in which I'll get her a card.
On the way there. Unbelievable. You're the equivalent of the people who go shopping on Christmas Eve.
What's your point? It's efficient.
Just be a better son.
It's efficient.
My point. Anyway, welcome to the Number One Championship Podcast, the Second Tier. Thank you for joining us wherever you are. Before we get underway, it's time to announce the final winner of our competition to win a free copy of Football Manager 2024. Congratulations to Robin Young. Well done, Robin. Say well done, Robin, Justin.
Proud of you, Robin. Well done.
Good stuff. We're hoping to do more competitions like this in the future, so make sure you stay tuned and get involved. But a big thank you to all of those who have entered. It's gone really well. Hope everyone enjoys their copies of Football Manager. But what another weekend of Championship football, Justin. This season is the gift that keeps on giving, isn't it? So we may as well discuss it, shall we, Justin? We've got one of the most dramatic ends to a game you'll ever see at Cardiff, which we'll talk about very shortly. The promotion race, which continues to leave us guessing as to who's going up. Of course, we've got a manager being sacked, probably the least surprising one of the season, so we'll talk about that as well, and plenty of other bits and bobs in the Championship. But let's kick things off with this, Justin. It's happened again. It's happened again. The Second Tier Podcast, it's happened again. Cardiff 2, Ipswich 1. Cardiff scoring in the 95th and 100th minute. Incredible scenes. 3-word reviews here from the Cardiff fans. Henry says, beat the banker. Cheney says, 100th minute. The Ninian stand says, banker wanker Dilks. Alex says, tractor gets a puncture. Common Bluebird says, where's Lee Camp? It's a good question. This is from the Ipswich perspective. Reese says, schoolboy defending. Owen says, added time headache. For the second week in a row, we've made Cardiff to lose as one of our bankers, and they've made us look very silly. But you know what, Justin? I'm not even mad, because the turnaround here was insane. As we got into injury time, I thought, great, bankers in, jobs are good, and then what followed, I never saw coming.
It was chaos, wasn't it? It was chaos. It really was. Beautiful chaos, I think, would be the best way to describe it. And even just the goals, then, how they were scored. It's when it's bouncing around in the box and there's that trepidation. There's that you're on the edge of your seat. You don't know if player's going to get on the end of it. And they do, and they just send it into absolute pandemonium. And the noise at Cardiff City Stadium. It's not criticism of Cardiff fans, but rightly so. The fans haven't been turning up at the stadium in their numbers over the past couple of years because it's been quite a turgid couple of years. So for that noise and the atmosphere to be as good as it was, that's the potential of the ground it's got and when things are going for them. But this was a monumental result for Cardiff City, a monumental result.
Yeah, I mean, the limbs were unbelievable for that Callum O'Dowda winner, weren't they? I mean, the reason I didn't see it coming was Cardiff didn't have a shot in normal time of the second half. And it looked as if they were just happy to hold on to a point. And then Kiefer Moore scored, which Justin said wouldn't happen, by the way.
No. I said he wouldn't head the ball. He didn't. It was a beautiful finish by old Keith.
He would be rendered useless against Galtas. And,
because they head everything. And guess what? Kiefer Moore didn't head his goal in, did he? It was a beautiful finish with his feet, not his head.
The only thing Justin said wouldn't happen this weekend happened, and that's Kiefer Moore scored. Anyway, but even after Ipswich scored, Cardiff seemed a bit like, oh well, then almost out of nowhere, Cardiff missed an open goal in the 92nd minute. And, I mean, Cardiff fans must have looked at that and thought, well, it's simply not going to be our day, is it? But then moments later, a cross goes in. Ipswich make a complete hash of it. Ryan Wintle puts it away, and then Cardiff score again with Callum O'Dowda. It's something we say all the time, Justin, but the Championship is ridiculous, isn't it? And this is a prime example of that.
It really is. It's the beauty of it, because I mean it's such a cliche, but any team can beat any team, and I don't necessarily buy into that fully. But you know, when you got Cardiff City there, mid-table, coming up against one of the best teams ever in terms of points accumulation, you know, in any other season, Ipswich would be top of the league, barring this one. You know, they've had to really sustain their form. So for them to do what they did and as late as they did, it's just the drama. You don't get that in any other league. I had to watch Fulham Wolves yesterday, and it was boring. It was boring. This was great. This was fantastic. This was amazing, and this is what the Championship's brought it about.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And look, Cardiff did an Ipswich on Ipswich. The number of times they've scored late on in games this season.
Got the same thing.
Yeah, it's not so nice when the boot's on the other foot, is it? So Ipswich lose for just the 5th time this season, puts an end to their 6-game winning run. They drop down to 3rd, a point behind Leeds, who have gone ahead of them. And this injury time collapse could be huge in the grand scheme of the season, couldn't it? Right now, just seems like, you know, it's a loss, it's a setback for Ipswich, but because it's so tight at the top, this could be massive.
Yeah, how's your tractor, Ryan? How's your tractor? That's what it is. You know, can it overcome these sorts of bumps? Can it get up that hill, etc.? You know, it's all those things. And I think the defending side of things is actually a big point, because you know, these things do happen. You do get pegged back if you don't defend properly, if you don't defend until the 100 and something minute, however late it was for Cardiff, scoring the winner. And yeah, Ipswich got Ipswiched. They really did. It's that sort of psychological impact it's going to have on the team and the players, and it's going to be a big thing, and that could essentially really impact the promotion race. But you know, as far as it being huge for the promotion race, we've still got 9 games left, and Ipswich have shown over their 6-game winning run that they can bounce back. So I would back them to do it again, but remarkably, as we've seen over the last 5 weeks, it's changed hands so often. I would expect that to happen again. So whilst it can have a big impact, I think Ipswich have proved that they can recover from these setbacks and go again, because they probably had the worst run of form in January, and they came out the other side of it in a very good position. Yeah,
and look, Ipswich aren't going to win every single game, are they? Because it's just not possible. But I mean, if you look at it now, if Ipswich are going to go up automatically, they're going to have to win nearly every game for the remainder of the season, I think, aren't they? Because Leeds are just looking so relentless. And while they surely have to lose or drop a couple of points at some point, I'm not saying that with a huge amount of confidence, because they're just so good right now. They look completely irresistible. I mean, I don't think it's a ridiculous thing to say, Justin, that Ipswich may have a better chance of catching Leicester than Leeds, because out of the two, Leicester are looking more malleable right now, aren't they?
Yeah, that's so true. That's very true. And obviously, Leicester's dip in form is not looking great, is it, for Enzo Maresca? Although they have collected 4 points in the last 2 games, which isn't a bad return, but performance-wise, their foot's come off the gas, whereas Leeds has gone down in Ipswich. Although they lost against Cardiff, their foot has been down on the gas pedal as well. So you are quite right. I think Leicester's looking like a much more likely a candidate for Ipswich to catch up with than Leeds, which is absolutely bonkers, because we wouldn't have said this in October, November, December, maybe even January.
Wouldn't have even said it last month, would we? But here we are. But I mean, we have got to remember, Ipswich don't lose often. So despite this defeat, they still have the fewest losses in the league. So there is every chance that they finish the season unbeaten. But that might not even be enough as things are going right now. No team in Championship history has got 90 points or more and not been automatically promoted. I can almost guarantee that's going to happen this season. Mm-hmm. And I mean, Justin, it's not completely out of the question that we see a team get 100 points and not go up automatically. There's a chance. There's a genuine chance of that happening. But anyway, going back to the initial point, Ipswich have to have a near-perfect end to the season now. And then they've just got to cross all their fingers on their toes and hope one of Leeds or Leicester slip up. Maybe even a couple of times if Ipswich slip up themselves. That's how fine these margins are, and that's why this 5-minute blip right at the death against Cardiff could be absolutely costly. Fair play to Cardiff, though, Justin. I thought it was game over after that Kiefer Moore goal, but they're doing a great job of making us look very silly, aren't they? We've had a few Swansea fans getting in touch, actually, asking us to please stop picking Cardiff to lose, which, you know what, is fair. I promise we'll stop picking Cardiff to lose. And look, they've won 4 in a row now, which I never saw coming this time last month when they lost 12 in 18. It's a pretty incredible turnaround so quickly from Errol Bullett's side, isn't it?
It really is. And now they're 5 points off the playoffs, which is the bonkers thing. Now, I'm not suggesting that they can push on and be a playoff contender, but the turning form has been absolutely massive. And I don't know whether it's a kind run of games or what, because it hasn't. It's not been an easy ride for them. They've had a derby against Bristol City. They played against Ipswich. It's not been an easy run of games, but they're a side who defend well, and like I was alluding to in the preview episode, they've got Nat Phillips and Gautas. They head everything. They defend everything, and they're a difficult side to break down. It's just when it comes to creating chances and being sustainable like that becomes a problem. But when they're so good at set pieces, when the game's edgy and it's tight and it's 0-0 for long periods, or you're down 1-0, you're always going to have a chance if you're as good at set pieces as Cardiff are, and they are bloody brilliant at set pieces, and that's a big thing. And it's going to be a big thing between now and the end of the season because, like I said, they do not create enough in open play. But when you've got big lumps like Nat Phillips, Gautas, you've got Ryan Wintle in the box, as we saw against Ipswich, and Callum O'Dowd returning from injury, yeah, they're going to be a nuisance, and this form could continue. Could they be a playoff contender? That's an interesting debate to have in a couple of weeks' time, I think.
Yeah, I'm not sure Nat Phillips and Gautas will appreciate being called big lumps, but I get the sentiment that
you know me.
for.
You know my Brexit footballing philosophy and preference over it. That is an endearing comment from me. I love a big lump of a centre half.
But going back to the poor run, they were playing so poorly during that 12 losses in 18 run, weren't they? They were genuinely like a relegation side. It was that bad. It also seemed like the manager wasn't very happy. So for them to be at this stage now is pretty remarkable. And 5 points off the top 6 is ridiculous. I don't know how this has happened. And look, it seemed like their season was fizzling out, but it's now got a new lease of life. And you are absolutely spot on, Justin. They're so dangerous from set pieces and crosses. They are genuinely the best team in the league at them. I think I'm the same as you. If I were to be picky, I'd like them to be better at scoring goals in other ways, but it's clearly working for them, so why not just stick to what you know? So it has been an excellent few weeks for Cardiff. All very good preparation ahead of the small matter, which is the South Wales derby next weekend. But they'll be heading into that as one of the form teams in the division, won't they? Let's go through let's go through the rest of the promotion race. And Leeds moved up to second after a 2-0 win away at Sheffield Wednesday. Darren's 3-word review: not going away. John says bloody good weekend. Leeds is closing the gap. James says up to second. Nad says title is on. And in Friday's episode, we were bigging this up as a really difficult game for Leeds. Sheffield Wednesday had been in amazing form. There were 30,000 at Hillsborough, their biggest crowd of the season. And Leeds won very comfortably. It was a game which didn't really live up to the billing of what it could have been. Possibly also says a lot about how good Leeds are, that they're able to completely take the sting out of a game like this and just win it fairly effortlessly. Did you see, by the way, that Ross McCormack was in the Leeds end for this one, Justin? I love this kind of stuff. We should get more players from that kind of era in the crowd, shouldn't we?
Yeah, I mean, well, this is related. I mean, he must be in South Yorkshire because he's just signed for that Doncaster side, hasn't he?
That was only a one-off, apparently.
Okay, but he must still be in the area then. You know, if he's playing one-off games like that and going to these games, it's an incredible feat. But as you rightly say, we should see more of this. Those players, he's not just any old player, by the way. He's a bloody legend at Championship level. One of the top scorers. So to have one of those guys in your stand, incredible. Love it.
Yeah, I just want more ex-Leeds players in there. You know, Rudolf Austin, Patrick Kisnorbo, that kind of ilk.
Patrick Kisnorbo, yeah.
It's the second time he's been mentioned in
Casper
the
Ankergren, let's
podcast in the space of a week. Incredible. It's 1 win in 5 for Leicester now. It's after they drew 2-2 away at Hull. Hull going ahead twice here before Leicester pulled them back. Joe's 3-word review for Hull: showed some fight. Quite a tense game, this one. Both managers thought they could have won it, but ultimately it's another game where we're yet to see the return of the Leicester of old, isn't it, Justin?
What is the Leicester of old, though? Come on, you cruise until a player of Premier League quality does something of Premier League quality. maybe we're seeing flaws in what Maresca is coaching and what he's wanting. Maybe there are holes in his style. Maybe there's too much emphasis on controlling and not enough on license to explore and exploit. I think that's the key things here. So what really is the Leicester of old? I honestly couldn't tell you right now.
I'm thinking more about the team who were just winning every single week. That Leicester of old, really.
Yeah,
didn't think I had to explain
get
that, but here we are.
No, I get that it's that Leicester of old, but what were the Leicester of old? Why were they winning every week? It's because they had that Premier League quality. They were just controlling games, and then someone like Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall will do something spectacular because he's Kiernan bloody Dewsbury-Hall. He should be in the Premier League, and I think that's the key thing here. And I think that's what's caught up with them. I think teams have sniffed them out. I think also what's harming them significantly is the absence of Wilfred Ndidi. I know he came back into this game, but I think his absence has restricted Dewsbury-Hall's licence to roam and be him essentially on the pitch, and perhaps him coming back and getting 45 in this game is going to be massive for Leicester in that final running, because they are dropping points like it's nothing.
Yeah, they are. And Enzo Maresca and a lot of Leicester fans have been complaining about the referee in this one, and there were some questionable decisions, to be fair. However, if Leicester won this, it would have been very harsh on Hull, because Leicester didn't deserve it. Aside from the 2 goals, there wasn't much else in the way of chances for Leicester, and the 2 goals they conceded were easily avoidable. And you're right, Justin, they seem so shaky right now. They're lacking the conviction they used to have. Key players are not playing as well as they were. I mean, Wout Faes would have never made that mistake for the first goal a couple of months ago, would he? Steffi Mavididi has been anonymous in quite a few games recently. And I tell you what, Enzo Maresca must be counting down the days until Ricardo Pereira's back, because Hamza Chowdhury has not been great at all at right back. Yeah, he's been really, really poor. So, look, they're very fortunate that they don't have a game now for 3 weeks, because they've got the FA Cup next weekend and then it's an international break. And it's got to be said, Justin, that has come in the nick of time for Leicester, hasn't it?
Well, I was going to discuss this because I think that Leicester and Leicester and Sunderland are the 2 teams that need that international break quite significantly, because they were in such poor form. But with Leicester, they really do need it. They really do need to get into the training ground and get players back fully fit and get minutes into legs in whatever way they can do, because they've been so poor of late. And I think that's the worrying thing, is they're not creating enough chances. That's the scary thing. You mentioned it in midweek against Sunderland, that they were so poor, not quite their usual selves. What is their usual selves? It's such a quandary at the moment, because, as I say, not creating enough chances to win games, and opposition are getting more of them, and that's a worrying trend to have, especially going into the business end of the season.
Yeah, well, they need to reset badly, don't they? It's gone from a 12-point gap at the top to a 3-point gap so alarmingly quickly, and the 2 teams behind them have got the tails up and are thinking, we could catch them, aren't they, Justin? They're fox hunting. They are literally fox hunting Ipswich and Leeds. That's exactly what they're doing.
Bloody
I thought it was bands, but here we are.
Whisper that under my breath. Bloody Tories.
Okay. Oh dear. But look, there is a genuine chance right now that Leicester could end up in the playoffs, which should never be happening. They shouldn't be in a position where they might not win the league, let alone not go up automatically. But here we are. That is the quandary that Enzo Maresca is facing, and they need to improve badly. But let's give credit to Hull, Justin. A great point for them. They've dropped a fair few points recently, which they probably should have held on to, but they're in a great position to put themselves a playoff spot, aren't they, with 9 games to go.
With performances like this, absolutely. They could, because Hull really impressed me. They were brave in possession. They played through Leicester's press and did what Rosenior Bull does really well. He stays calm and it works through the thirds. And to do that against top of the table, I think it takes some cojones not to change your game plan and just sort of retreat and let Leicester play in front of you. So fair play to Rosenior. You play like that. Your game plan, you put your game plans out like that, you are going to keep accumulating points and you are going to be in the playoffs. So I think, Rosenior deserves a lot of credit for that, and for the bravery as well, and also just the way they played. I thought they were a lot more creative than the Leicester, and looked far more comfortable throughout the game. So a lot of credit goes to Rosenior for that. And I thought Regan Slater as well was brilliant. He's exactly what you need in a team. Yeah.
Well, it was an excellent point for Hull, and as I said, they have dropped a few points recently, drawn a few games, but you know what? They're still right in the mix for the playoffs, aren't they? And the chances are that it's going to come down to a 3-horse race between them, Coventry and Norwich. you can't rule out someone else breaking out from the rest of the pack, but that's how it's looking as things stand. Out of those three sides, Hull have been the most consistent of the bunch, haven't they? They've been in or around the top six all season, while the other two have had dips at some point. So they've just got to keep doing what they're doing, and they won't be far off. They've got a really exciting side. We know that. We've spoken about it plenty. So it's a great opportunity for them. I'd perhaps even put them in the driving seat, Justin. Would you agree with that?
I really like Norwich at the moment. I think I said this a few weeks ago when we discussed who we thought had the best chance of finishing in the top six. I just think with their attacking potential, probably might trump, and also experience in the squad as well. It might trump Rossini. But then again, you are right. I think if Hull can peak at the right time, then why not? They might well be in the driving seat, but they've got to turn those draws into wins, and that's what's holding them back at the moment. Yeah,
but that's absolutely right. They've got to see out games better than they have done recently. But as I say, I've got more faith in Hull, I think, than particularly Norwich, because obviously they've had their ups and downs.
You're Wagner skeptic.
Well, yeah. And then Coventry as well have had a bit of a dip recently, but seem to be back on course now as well. But yeah, I'd maybe just put Hull in the driving seat, but it's bloody close in the top six, as it is in loads of other areas of the table. Let's go to Southampton. They made it back-to-back wins after beating Sunderland 4-2. Saints were 2-0 up before Sunderland pulled it back to 2-2. Then Southampton really put their foot down. Joseph's three-word review: Martin masterclass again. Stones's is not done yet. And it seems like Southampton are just about back, doesn't it, Justin? Back to the side that we saw a few weeks ago.
I think we decided a few weeks ago when they were conceding chances and goals left, right, and centre. Maybe.
I meant that. Stop being pedantic. You've come to this podcast in a really pedantic mood, Justin Peach.
You called me a terrible son at the start of this podcast, so of course I've got
rightly
to stick my arse at the moment. But maybe you are right.
The point is, Southampton look like they're getting back to the team who went 25 games unbeaten, aren't they?
Yeah. Yes and no. Defensively, I still have a few reservations, and also taking chances at the right time, I think, is a big thing. There aren't any guarantees, I think, at the moment with this Southampton side. For example, they did their best here to keep Sunderland in the game, didn't they? Didn't take the chance in the first half, and they could have been home and hosed, and Sunderland pulled 2 goals back in the second. They can do better. They can do loads better. But at this point in the season, winning's a really good habit, and at this stage of the season as well, it doesn't matter how you win games. You just got to keep winning games. So I think that's the key thing for Southampton, is to keep that habit going, because they have done their very best to rule themselves out of a top 2 push. But with this win and Ipswich dropping points, it keeps them in it.
Yeah, it really, really does. We have got to remember that they were playing a Sunderland side in dire form who are missing their best player. But the manner in which Southampton won was very encouraging. I mean, they were 2-0 up after an hour, but really should have scored more in that time. Yeah. They were so productive going forwards. It was just about actually being efficient in front of goal, but they weren't. But, still 2 goals is great. I mean, the big downside from this game was obviously the 10 minutes where Sunderland scored both their goals, and the number of goals they are conceding is an obvious concern. I agree with you there, Justin. But the response to letting in the 2 goals was great, and they ended up winning pretty emphatically in the end. And look, it's a pretty good weekend actually for Southampton. Both Leicester and Ipswich dropping points means they've gained ground. Whether the damage has already been done or not with that 4-game shitting off the bed spell, only time will tell. But they're looking good again. And if their destination is the playoffs, they'll need to finish the season strongly and look like they may be on their way to doing that based off the last couple of games. Anyway, By the way, Southampton have 10 games left. Of those 10 games, only 2 are against sides below 13th in the table. Really rough end to the season for Saints, but like Leicester, they are now done for 3 weeks because they were meant to be playing Leicester next weekend, but because of the FA Cup means Southampton have a nice little break now where we talk about what it meant for Leicester just in the international break. It's probably come at a bit of a bad time for Southampton, isn't it? Because they're just about to gain a bit of momentum again. But still, it's a nice little break for them, I guess. Justin, we've got to talk about Sunderland because their disastrous form seems to have gone a bit under the radar. They've lost 6 in a row. It's their worst run in over 10 years. And in fairness, they have played Leicester and Southampton in this run, but they've also lost to Huddersfield, Birmingham and Swansea. Of course, some of them were during the Mick Meal era, but still. And Justin, I think it's fair to say Sunderland's season is just about over, isn't it?
Well, when you lose 6 games in a row at this stage of the season, whatever your aspirations were, finishing in the top half or finishing in the top 6, it does fade a little bit. No Jack Clarke either. Yeah, this is a problem for Sunderland. I think it probably points to a bigger hole with their recruitment and squad depth and the need to sort of sign more experience. But we debated that for in previous episodes. And I think it's quite obvious that is the case. But yeah, you are right. I think the season at the moment is just fizzled out without any interest whatsoever, and that's such a shame because the squad's got so much potential, and it had so much potential earlier on in the season. If they just didn't cock up the decision-making process upstairs at boardroom level, the season might not be over at this point. But rightly so, it is the case for me.
Yeah, well, Justin, you are absolutely spot on. Sunderland have an incredibly talented squad, and you could make a good argument that Sunderland have been the big underachievers of the season. I think many would have expected them to finish in the top 6, or at least challenge for it, and now their best hope is top half, isn't it? It's been very, very underwhelming. The squad is full of extremely talented players and should 100% be doing better. And it's rare that you can really pinpoint the exact moment in a season where everything went wrong, but obviously we can here because it was appointing Mick Beale. It's one of the biggest acts of self-harm we've ever seen at this level. But it's not just that, though, because there are other factors. Not signing a good striker has been a big one. Letting Mike Dodds take charge for the rest of the season hasn't been great so far. It's still quite early on, but it's not been a great start by any means. And loads of players have underwhelmed this season as well, particularly Pierre Ekwa. We talked about that the other day. Patrick Roberts is another one as well. And injuries haven't helped either. But this just needs to be a learning experience for Sunderland, because that's the only benefit they're going to get from this season now, because they looked like they were going in the right direction. This season's been a step back, and they have to be better next season because the fans won't accept another season like this one, will they?
No, and that's a key thing. Don't get me wrong, I still think a top half finish is a good finish for Sunderland, this Sunderland side who are progressing, but it could have been so much more.
But they got playoffs last season, didn't they, Justin? I expected them to use that as almost a trampoline to bigger things.
Yeah, that's the potential, but sometimes it can lure you into a bit of a false sense of over-expecting from what is a young team and what is a young ownership and what is a young sort of boardroom team as well in terms of how they're setting up. So I think they've got a fair way to go, but you are right. I think it's the decisions that have really sort of pissed Sunderland fans off and sort of made us raise our eyebrows, because that's what Sunderland fans don't want to put up with. They want to make sure the club's going in the right direction, get decisions right, and if they don't, that's when they start to lose faith.
We'll end on a positive note because Joe Bellingham's goal against Southampton was a beauty. Almost made up for his mistake for the first goal, which was one of the worst defensive headers you'll ever see by a professional footballer. But that was a lovely, lovely goal. Talented lad, Inti, and he showed it with this moment of excellence. But before we have a quick break, Justin, we have seismic news. Neil Warnock, he's back on the market. Come on! It's after he stepped down as interim manager of Aberdeen. He was only there for 33 days. Didn't seem to go very well at all. I suppose long way from Cornwall, isn't it? But Justin, it begs the question, which championship club is he going to be at this time next month? Because you can almost guarantee it's going to happen, can't you?
Well, look, I'm looking at Watford now. They're 7 points above the bottom 3. If they lose a couple of games and get dragged into it, they could press the Warnock button. Birmingham maybe want to bring in an interim manager to cover that Tony Mowbray spell while he's recovering from his operation. Then you've got maybe, Rotherham are down. He's not going to go there, is he, for holiday? Well, that's about it, really. I think
he might. I don't think it's completely.
What's the point? They're gone.
The only reason I say that is maybe. Obviously he won't keep them up, but I could see them sacking Liam Richardson and asking old Warney if he fancies a season in League One. No,
he won't want that. Warnock wants to come in, take charge, leave a hero, and then retire. That's all he wants. I saw that he and his management team retweeted the tour dates for his Are You With Me tour. So, truth be told, I don't think he's coming back to management.
Maybe. I think he's got Stoke written all over him. To be fair, Stephen Schumacher's picked up a couple of results recently, hasn't he? Yeah. So maybe not now. But I thought that was a banker not too long ago.
Yeah.
It is an interesting shout for you, Justin. What about Plymouth? Because Ian Foster's yet to fully convince a lot of fans.
As well.
Yeah, near to Cornwall, exactly. I could have.
That's a dream for Warnock.
Yeah, it's the perfect job, isn't it? I could envisage them pressing the Warnock button just to steer themselves away from the relegation battle. I mean, it wouldn't be a very Plymouthy appointment, I was going to say. Because Warnock tends to go to clubs who aren't very well run, and Plymouth are. But maybe they'll panic as the weeks tick by.
Yeah, I was also going to say Plymouth are probably looking for a younger coach to guide them into a new dawn, so it may. But obviously Ian Foster's not quite worked out. Neil Warnock's at the wrong end of the age spectrum for that profile of manager. But maybe I think even just maybe a consultant basis to help old Ian through this rough spell. Maybe you might fancy that.
Maybe it'd be interesting. I'd love to see him back in the Championship because it's great content for us, and it's Neil Warnock. I just always have that feeling that someone's going to press the button because it's always available, no matter what's happening elsewhere. Anyway, Justin, let's take a quick break. After that, we'll talk about footballers our listeners have met in strange places and go through some of the other games in the Championship from the past few days, and of course, Watford sacking Valerien Ismael. Welcome back to the Second Tier podcast. It's now time for us to check out how our second tier multiple with SBK got on, which included our game of the week, as well as Justin and I's two bankers from Friday. It was Leeds, Ipswich and Coventry, so that bloody late comeback for Cardiff did us over on our first ever treble. That could have been our first one, Justin, our first winner. For God's sake, we were so close. So close. We'll get one before the end of the season, I can guarantee it. But we'll be back with another multiple in this coming Friday's preview show with SBK. Justin, let's go through a quick round of footballers our listeners have met in strange places. This has been the frenzy. This has been the topic which has caught the imagination of our listeners ever since I mentioned my anecdote of bumping into Jamie Vardy whilst coming out of a train toilet. We put out the questions to our listeners, secondtierpod@gmail.com, and they've continued to let us know about footballers they've met in strange places. This is from Kaitan. He says, "Good day, Virgins. Back in 2013, I was out in Leeds in the Trinity Shopping Centre when I saw a large crowd gathering. It turns out it was because a couple of Leeds players were there doing a meet and greet. Being a massive Leeds fan, I went over and was starstruck to see none other than Stephen Warnock and Michael Tong. I asked them if they were excited for the new season, and Tong replied, 100%. We've got the players to make a real promotion push this year. We finished 15th. Kaitan also goes on to say he was on a night out in a bar and bumped into who he believes to be Alex Mowat. He adamantly refused that he was Mowat. He's also attached the photo so you can make your own judgment. Kaitan, I've seen the photo. That is not Alex Mowat. He looks a bit like him, but it's definitely not him.
I feel like Alex Mowat's one of those players who looks like quite a few people.
He does.
You could mistake him quite easily with quite a few people. I think we've got a mutual friend who looks like Alex Mowat a little bit as well, to be fair. Yeah. So, Alex Mowat, very recognisable man, but not Alex Mowat.
Yeah, and our mutual friend also looks like a few other people as well. So I can see why he's getting mixed up by people like Kaitan. You can have a look in the inbox afterwards just to see the picture. I'm not sure we're allowed to show it to the listeners, but I can tell the listener right now it's not Alex Mowat. Finley Goldring has also got in touch. He says, I once met Martin Wolford at an Ibis hotel where he was a guest speaker at a property investment event. I've got so many questions here, Justin. First of all, what does Martin Wolford know about property investment? And second of all, if he does know about it, why does this event deem him to be famous enough to be a guest speaker?
Yeah, sure. There's so many questions. You are right. I'm trying to break it down now in my head. I mean, Martin Wolford, very good left foot, quite an underrated player, I think, actually, at Championship level. But also, I mean, career after football, well done, Martin. But what makes you the expert in your short property career so far? Because I'm going to be honest, you probably earned your property money through playing football, which can be a very rewarding career.
That is true. Maybe we're doing him a disservice, and this is a nice little.
Maybe we need to attend one of these seminars.
Maybe
just to get to know him a little bit better.
I just can't believe that somebody out there has thought, right, we need a guest speaker for this. Let's go for former Millwall winger Martin Wolford. It's just great stuff. Speaking of Martin Wolford, we've got a couple of Streets Won't Forget footballers who our listeners have got in touch with. This is another thing which we've been doing a lot recently, asking listeners for their nominations for Streets Won't Forget footballers. This is from Joe. He says, for Ipswich, it's Fabian Wilnis. He says, he was never the best defender, but his rammed step over is the slowest thing you will ever see, which somehow consistently worked. Good shout. I like that, Justin.
Sure, he played until he was like 35 as well, but yeah, Fabian Wilnis was a good one. I think I might. If anyone's got a clip of this slow step over, I think I need to watch it because he doesn't look like a man who could complete a step over.
Apparently you did, and it worked a lot. I'm a big fan of this one, Justin. This is from Josh Callahan. He says, for Bristol City, Ivan Sproul. He
Oh
had
my
pace
God.
to burn.
He did. That's incredible. That it was the 07-08 team, wasn't it? What a team that was! Because I think Michael McIndoe was in that team as well. They had was Lee Trundle there at that point? Adrian Basso,
John Stead.
Yeah. Oh,
Bradley
no, I think that's
Orr.
after. Bradley Orr was in that team.
Yeah.
Jamie
Liam
McAllister
Fontaine.
at left back. What a team that was! That's incredible. And
team.
even Ivan Sproul, brilliant. Scott Murray,
Yeah.
brilliant.
Good stuff. Bristol City, 2006-07. Was it that year?
There's
Was it the year
07-08.
after? Yeah,
07-08.
sorry. A proper championship virgin Streets Won't Forget team,
Yeah.
wasn't it? Good
Incredible.
stuff. But if you have any shouts for a Streets Won't Forget footballer or a footballer you've met in a strange place, let us know. secondtipod@gmail.com. Let's go on to some of the other games from the weekend, Justin, and we've got some big news in the form of a managerial departure because Watford have sacked Valerien Ismael. It's after a run of 1 win in 12 games. A 2-1 loss at home to Coventry was enough to seal his fate. Greg's 3-word review. WhatsApp were accurate. Good stuff. Good stuff. Tom Cleverley has been appointed as an interim manager, which I like, Justin. Very football manager-esque appointment, that, isn't it?
I was going to say it's quite apt with the competition we've been running, and you could be Tom Cleverley if you want to be Tom Cleverley. Yeah, it's incredible. We're just in an FM simulator at the moment. It's obviously Troy Deeney getting a job earlier on in the summer, earlier on in the season at Forest Green. Now Tom Cleverley's in management. I remember when I had no idea what Tom Cleverley did as a footballer. Now he's a manager. Superb.
Here we are. Do you want some stats, Justin? Some Watford manager stats?
Always brightens up my day.
Since September 2019, Watford have had 13 different managers, either caretaker, interim or permanent. That's an average of a new manager every 4 months. And despite being there for less than a year, Ismael managed the second most games of any Watford manager from the past decade. Which is some good going, that, to be fair, isn't it? Ultimately, Justin, I feel sorry for you because you infamously made your bold prediction of Valerien Ismael to last the season. You were so close. You had 2 more months left. Heartbreaking.
I was so close to retirement. So close to retirement. Incredible, as the saying goes. I'm quite disappointed that he's lost his job. I do like Ismael. I do like him a lot, but it's clear that he lost the fans, he lost the board. But we're almost back to the same point. I actually saw a few Watford tweets. I was doing some research, actually, believe it or not. I saw a fair few Watford tweets in mid-January saying that the job Valerien Ismael is doing is brilliant. So what's changed over the last 8 weeks? Well, they had a pretty shit winter window. They got a weaker squad now, and it's already stretched in terms of numbers. It's even more so the case post winter window. But I just think that the culture at Watford is probably normalised the factor of a new manager being the solution to a team's problems, and I don't think that's the case. You can't go from doing a brilliant job in January and then within 8 weeks you get sacked. Well, you can do it at Watford, but I think in normal terms it shouldn't really be the case. I think it should have been given at least until the end of the season, because what are Watford going to do now? Nothing. Cleverley's in charge. They'll reach the repeat, go again in the summer, and then we'll be back at this point at some point next season. I just think the culture at Watford just normalised the solution of sacking a manager will solve all your problems, and it's just not going to be the case. It isn't.
Yeah, you're spot on, Justin. You're absolutely spot on. Watford can't keep doing this forever. They've got to stick with someone at some point. Was Valerien Ismael the man to stick with? Not for me. I wasn't a fan of the appointment.
Rob Edwards was.
Sorry?
Rob Edwards was.
Rob Edwards was, yes. He was the right man to stick with, wasn't he? That's a very good point. But look, when Ismael was appointed, I wasn't a massive fan of the appointment. But at the same time, I would have much preferred Watford sticking with the guy than going through this same process all over again. Because they're not going to progress as a football club by just doing this all the time. The players have no idea what style of football they're going to be playing in a few months' time. And it also makes them a very unattractive prospect for any new manager, because they know it's more than likely they won't last the season. So, look, they've given it to Tom Cleverley until the end of the season. That's fine. They've got to spend the next 2 months or so finding a manager and saying to them, I know we've been trigger happy in the past, but we are committed to you for the entire season at least. next summer we'll assess whether this is working or not. But I can guarantee you will not be sacked this season. And then they can build around what that manager actually wants and actually have a plan for how to progress Watford as a football club. Because right now they're not going to get anywhere just doing this all the time, Justin.
Stop making sense. Stop making sense, Ryan. No, you stop making sense.
Okay, fine.
Everything you said was completely accurate, but Watford are an absolute shit show of a football club behind the scenes. I would go as far as to say that outside of clubs in financial peril, when it comes to succession planning on and off the pitch, Watford are probably one of the worst worst run clubs in the division, or in the country. In fact, they cannot do it. They just rely heavily on. I don't even know how they come across their managers. Is it just a list of out of work managers? They go on transfer market. The dartboard, yeah, it is literally just a dartboard. I think you just go on transfer market and see who's out of work and just basically go off that list and see whoever wants it. Because obviously, Slaven Bilic last season, Chris Wilder as well, Ismael in the summer. It's just pathetic. It's pathetic, and the club's going nowhere. The club's going absolutely nowhere. And I'm sorry to say it because Watford have got so much potential. I think in terms of the club and its history, but the pot so's just ran into the ground.
Keep in mind as well that at some point last autumn they sacked the technical director Ben Manga, and basically put him down as the fall guy for Watford and their stodgy form at the start of the season, and gave Valerien Ismael a new contract. And now we're 6 months later, maybe not even that, and we're back in the same position again. It's just an absolute show. Watford, it really is.
Watford are going to breach profit and sustainability purely on paying compensation for 10 managers.
I don't think it counts to profit and sustainability, but I get your points. They must be spending a hell of a lot of money purely on just getting rid of managers all the time. It's shambolic. But it was Coventry who sealed Valerien Ismael's fate. They won 2-1 thanks to a brace from Haji Wright. And we've mentioned him plenty of times on this podcast, Justin. He's an unpredictable player, isn't he? 1 minute he looks shocking, but he's also capable of performances like this, where he was excellent.
I think he's just unorthodox, isn't he? He's just big and he's gangly and he plays off the wing, and you don't really expect the type of quality he comes out with. But he's a very, very impactful player. He's a great player to have in your team, and his link-up play is actually really, really good. And you just look at the numbers. You only got to look at the numbers and just go, 19 goal contributions in 35 games in the Championship is incredibly impressive. Really, really impressive. That's 12 substitute appearances and 23 starts. So he's not exactly a prolific starter like Gyökeres was last season, for example. But that loss of Gyökeres and Hamer hasn't been felt as such because Haji Wright has picked up the mantle, and it was a really shaky start, wasn't it, to his career in Coventry City, and it wasn't really until in November that he got going. But he's not really stopped, and he's been absolutely fantastic, and it's good to see him grow because it's his first season in the Championship as well, and it's always going to be difficult. When we saw Coventry's new signings struggle, most of them did, and he was one that came out the other side. He's been absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, he's come on leaps and bounds, hasn't he? Because he was missing so many massive chances earlier in the season. Now he is the main man, really, fueling Coventry's top six push, along with Ellis Sims as well. What's the phrase you like to use, Justin? Clutch player? Is he a clutch player?
Well, we've not really seen him do it in big games as such. I'd probably need to look at him in a bit more detail, but I think he probably could be. He could fall on that.
To be honest, Justin, I don't know what a clutch player is.
It's when they do it in big games. Like Ilkay Gundogan is a clutch player. Why? What did you think it meant, you old man?
Don't know.
Great.
But he cost a lot of money, didn't he? In the summer, he's something we have to mention here, and it for a while looked like it was money not very well spent, but now it does. He's really come on really well, and is looking like the hitman that I think many people are hoping he would be. Ben Sheaf made his return from injury in this one as well, a huge timely boost for them ahead of the business end of the season, so that's a good one for them. Norwich 5, Rotherham 0, back-to-back 5-0 losses for Rotherham. 3 words review here from Gabriel Sara's left peg, apparently. Pure domination, Brazil. Canaries down under says Fortress, Carrow Road. Cal's 3-word review for Rotherham is sack them all. I said not long ago that while they have been crap, Rotherham haven't had many batterings. Well, they've had 2 in a row now. They're on the longest run of consecutive losses in. Let me start that again. The longest run of consecutive losses in Championship history is 10. Rotherham are on 9. So Shaping
Can
up to
they
be a
do
record.
it? Can they do
Can
it?
they do it? It's shaping up to be a record-breaking season for them for all the wrong reasons, it's got to be said. So Rotherham were crap, but Norwich were excellent, in fairness to them. Justin, talk to me about that Gabriel Sara goal. The technique on that was outrageous.
It's one of those that I always used to try and pull off. I don't know why I said that, because I'm me. I'm not exactly gifted. But it's one of those where you just stab down at the ball and you try and get that uplift, that straight uplift, and it just arrows. Yeah, that was a beautiful, beautiful strike from Sara. It's a shame that it wasn't a 1-0 strike. It's a shame it was a 5-0 strike. So I think it takes the gloss off it a little bit. But from a technical point of view, it was lovely.
It was. And I'm surprised there hasn't been more oozing over it on social media, because for me it's a goal of the season contender. Because when he hits
it's a 5-0 goal. 5-0 goal, that's what it was.
I know it's... does that matter?
Yeah, sometimes. You just forget about it.
Does. I'm not sure it does. But anyway, the point is that the reason I think it's just so good is because when he hits it, his leg is so high. Yeah. So to keep it down is impressive enough, but to hit it so cleanly right into the top bin, it's incredible. So definitely one of the best goals I've seen this season. Is it better than Joe Rothwell's volley for Southampton? Probably not. Is it better than Wes Burns' Trivella? Definitely not. But it's such an incredible strike from an incredible player. And I think deserves more notice from elsewhere on social media. So Norwich are in the top 6 after this win. 5 wins from 8. Justin, I've got a question for you, because Norwich are playing well right now, much better than I imagine anyone expected them to do after that dip in form around autumn time. And David Wagner has obviously had a lot of scrutiny placed on him by Norwich fans at various spells throughout his reign. And I was under the impression that they'll probably change manager in the summer. But, I mean, that's based purely on the fact that, you know, we've got a new sporting director in at Norwich. And, you know, David Wagner's not the most fondly thought of manager at Norwich that they've had in recent years, but it's getting to the stage now where they surely have to stick with Wagner next season, don't they? Whatever division they're in.
It's made it very difficult for them to find somebody else, but he's earned that opportunity. Norwich have been incredible since probably November. You know, when we were talking around sort of October, November time, when things were really rough for Norwich to drop down to sort of 18th, 19th, and you know, it was looking terrible, and that's when Ben Napper came in, the technical director, sporting director of a footballing persuasion, shall we say, and he came in, and there was such an in between period, and humming and ahhing and everything. But he's Wagner's turned things around massively, and I think he deserves so much credit. And as I say, he's earned the opportunity to not have the stress and pressure of his job being in uncertainty, because they have been superb attacking wise. They've been brilliant. They got players back fully fit. And I think that's been a key thing. And now they're in contention for the top 6, or in the top 6, and well placed to push on for a top 6 finish. Yeah, he's got to stay. He's got to stay.
Yeah, well, it's put the new sporting director Ben Napper in an interesting position, hasn't it? Because does he stick or does he twist? If I was him, I would want to bring in my own manager. And Wagner is very much a Stuart Webber appointment, isn't he? The former sporting director. But based on recent form, it would be harsh to get rid of Wagner, so I don't know now. It's put him in a quite difficult position, and be interested to see what they do in the summer, assuming they are still a championship side. Stoke got just their 5th win in 24 games by beating Preston 2-1. Of course, a meeting between a manager and his former assistant at Plymouth, Ryan and Stephen Schumacher. The students beat the master here. Stokey AJ's 3-word review. Luke McNally, baby, and Chris says 3 fantastic points. A strange game, really, because, as I say, Stoke had won just 4 from 23 heading into this. Preston were unbeaten in 7, and Stoke were much the better side. Rather peculiar, really, but look, Stephen Schumacher deserves credit, doesn't he? He was on the verge of getting the sack just before last weekend after 6 losses in 7. Now he's got a win against Middlesbrough. They lost to Leeds, but gave them a game, which not many sides have been able to say in recent times. And now they've won away at an informed Preston. He's turned it around a bit, hasn't he?
He has turned it around. I mean, we need to see some consistency, and a lot harder to beat. But games like this gives you a lot of faith that is going to be the case. I saw some Stoke fans actually say on Twitter that it was a tear-inducing performance, which I think not only tells you about the effort put in by the players to get that result, but also the magnitude of the situation for Stoke at the bottom of the table. They need to keep winning points, and that's the thing. And like I said, with teams pushing promotion in this show already, it doesn't matter how you win games at this point. You just got to win games. You've got to put points on the board. And that's the thing for Schumacher. If he puts that foundation in place for him to go into the summer and Stoke are still a championship team, I think he's I think he's been a success because the team was spiralling quickly. So a performance like this, where backs are up against the wall, you push, do everything you can to get those 3 points. Really, really, really promising.
I mean, they were spiralling under him, so whether he's a success or not,
it started years ago.
That is true, but still, he's overseen part of the spiralling. It's got to be said. So whether he's a success or not, I don't know. But it was getting to the stage where it was do or die for Stoke, wasn't it? And if they didn't turn it around now, then they would more than likely be going down. So this has been a very encouraging few games because it was looking very bleak. They desperately needed a response, and they've got it. By the way, did you see that Stoke fans took a donkey to Preston and put a Stone Island badge on it?
As the resident vegan and PETA activist, I do not condone this behaviour.
It's a fair point. I am very curious to know what happened to the donkey when they actually went into the stadium.
Did they take the donkey with them?
Well, I don't really know. I just saw a picture of Stoke fans with a donkey. I don't know.
The donkey there?
I've got so many questions, Justin, none of which I can answer. So we're just going to have to leave it there, I'm afraid. But a very curious incident which I saw on X, formerly known as fuck knows at this point. Final game we'll cover, Justin, from this weekend is the game on Sunday afternoon where we had the Carlos Corberán derby as West Brom thumped Huddersfield 4-1. The dictionary definition of a game of two halves. In the first half, West Brom was so poor and Huddersfield were actually quite comfortable. But then Carlos Corberán decided to send out 2011 Barcelona in the second half, and they were unbelievable. Justin, talk to me about that Okay Kuzlu goal, because that was hit so cleanly.
It gives me shivers, Ryan. It gives me bloody shivers. It was hit so cleanly and so fast. I don't think Nichols realised what was happening until the ball was a foot away from him. Nichols in the Huddersfield goal, that is. It was an incredible drive and strike, and I don't think we see those very often. I think Nathaniel Chalobah pulled one off not too long ago, quite a few years ago, where it was hit so clean. I can't remember who it was against.
Like 10 years ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago, but it's one of those strikes where you just go, bloody hell, because to be able to come onto that and hit that so clean and beautifully, it's very difficult to do. Very, very difficult.
Yeah, he could have not hit that any better. He nearly took the bloody goal out the ground, didn't he? Beautiful goal from Okay.
Can you imagine that went wide? Can you imagine that went wide and you're in the stands and that's coming at you? Ooh.
Oh yeah, someone's getting hurt. Okai's got to be. He's got to be a bit more responsible in future, hasn't he? But Justin, this is what West Brom are capable of, aren't they? They're an extremely well-drilled side under Carlos Corberán, and while the first half was a bit concerning, the second half was incredible and just got rid of any concerns about that first half because they were unbelievable. I mean, Mikey Johnston got on the score sheet twice. He's been on fire recently. He's given them a bit of an X factor, but they're just so good in so many different departments, aren't they?
Oh, I think the players like Mikey Johnston have really taken that attack and forward-thinking play to another level for West Brom because they are a very well-organised, defensive, sometimes rigid team, and they are difficult to break down. But when you add in players like Mikey Johnston, Grady Dingan is in form again, which is brilliant. Andy Vyment added a little bit more energy into that final third, and obviously experience as well, which is really, really important. They've got so many different dimensions to them now, and I think you go back to their January transfer business, and okay, they couldn't do much, but they probably had one of the better windows on reflection in terms of bringing in Mikey Johnston, Andy Vyman, keeping a hold of several players as well, like Dingan, for example. So. Yeah, I think Corberán's got a really good thing going. I'm actually really excited to see how they end the season. Going to be a few bumps on the way, but bloody hell, love watching them at the moment.
Yeah, well, you'd expect them to be in the playoffs. It'd be a bit of a surprise if they weren't in the playoffs come the end of the season. And I tell you what, if I was one of Ipswich, Southampton, whoever is going to be in the playoffs come the end of the season, I would not want to face West Brom. I can tell you that much for sure because Carlos Corberán's he's just such a master with his tactical flexibility, isn't he? They're a team to fear for anyone heading into the playoffs come May, that's for sure. Justin, let's do the polls. This is a part of the show where we give the listeners 3 questions on Twitter. I just want to get their thoughts on everything to do with the Championship. So the first question we asked was this: what's the top 2 going to be? Ipswich Leeds, Ipswich Leicester, Leeds Leicester.
I don't know. Southampton Ipswich. Let's upset the apple cart a little bit. I think if I was to make a split judgment now, I'd go Leeds Leicester.
be interesting to see if Ipswich Leeds is the outcome come the end of the season, because that's what a few listeners think. 70% said Leeds Leicester, which is, I think, the most obvious one at the moment. 19% said Ipswich Leeds. 11% said Ipswich Leicester. Interesting, Justin. Next question was, were Watford wrong to sack Valerien Ismael? Yes or no?
I think they were. I mean, 1 win in 11 is not great, is it? So it is sackable form, but at the same time, it's Watford. Have they been right to sack several managers over the years? No. I think this is another one where they probably should have kept hold of.
Yeah, lads, it's Watford. What do you expect? 59% said no, 41% said yes. And the final question is, have you seen Dune 2? Yes, no. Going to watch it?
Probably going to watch it. I don't get the films at all. I watched the first one. Couldn't understand it. Need to watch it again. Probably read the book might help. Maybe watch the original as well. That might help. But yeah, I'm going to watch it. Going to get a popcorn bucket as well.
I need to watch it. I haven't seen Dune 1 yet, but my partner keeps badgering me to make us watch it. I thought you'd be a massive fan, Justin, because it seems a bit Star Wars-ish.
Take it back.
Okay. I don't know why that's offended you, but clearly it has. It's like sci-fi, sand and shit.
Shut up.
It's okay, fine. I've really touched a nerve there, and I don't really understand why. 74% of people said no, they haven't seen it. 12% said they have. 14% said going to watch it. There we go. Now it's time for this.
Hi, Simon Grayson here.
Yes, it's time for Simon Grayson's Hateful Eight. So Justin is going to ask me to name 8 of a certain subject. All I've got to do is name all 8. So, for example, if he were to say name Steve Bruce's last 8 clubs, and I would say Villa, that's 1 down, and then Newcastle, that's another down. But if I were then to say Weymouth, I would lose a life. So all I need to do is give all 8 answers without losing all my lives, and you can get involved in the fun by sending in your Hateful Eights for either Justin or I to answer. Send them into secondtierpod@gmail.com, and you could get a shout out the next time we do a Hateful Eight. Justin, who's this Hateful Eight from?
It's from Ryan Cruikshank, who wants you to name the teams with the lowest points totals in Championship history. This is a toughie, so you're going to get 3 lives. I'm going to give you, I'd say, a little bit of a clue, a bit of a point. So 3 teams featured twice, but they only count as 1 guess.
Okay, fine. That was my big question.
All you've got to do is think about shit teams that are played.
Well, I've got one. Rotherham.
Correct. Rotherham are on here. They finished with 23 points in 26-17 season and 29 points in the 04-05 season. So that's 1 off the list.
I was actually looking at this list the other day. And the thing is, Rotherham feature. I think Rotherham have had the 3 of the 4 worst points tallies ever, which makes it very inconvenient for this list because I can't remember much else apart from that. I think Bolton are on there.
Bolton are on there. The 2015-2016 season where they finished with 30 points.
Okay. Ipswich
were fourth. They were 4th on my list, by the way.
Okay, cool. Ipswich were shocking a few years ago when they went down, so I'll say them.
Correct. 2018-19 season. They got 31 points that year. They're 5th on my list.
No, it's a bit tricky.
Yeah.
Blackpool, they had that weird season where they had about 100 players.
Correct. 2014-15 season, they finished with 26 points. Weirdly, Jose Riga. Yeah, Jose Riga took charge of them that season, and I quite liked him as a coach. I thought he did some decent stuff at Charlton at Blackpool.
Yeah, it's a weird season, though. When you look at some of the players they had there, it was a strange one. How many have I got? 5 or 4?
You've got 4. You've got 4, and Blackpool were the second on my list.
All right, then. I will throw Barnsley at you, because they've been relegated a few times.
Yes, Barnsley's correct. 21-22 season, they finished with 30 points. That was the Asbargi season. And Marcus Sharp.
Fine. Now we're getting into tricky waters here. I've got 3 lives, so I'm going to throw a team at you. And that team is Sheffield Wednesday, although I'm not confident.
You're incorrect, Ryan. You're incorrect. Okay. You look.
That's fine.
It's the top 3 points tallies of the lowest, if that makes sense. These have got the highest of the lowest points tallies.
Yes. Yeah. Well, Peterborough have been relegated a few times, so I guess there's a chance they'll be there.
There is a chance that they'll be there. The 09-10 season, I think it was one of Darren Ferguson's years. Jim Gannon came in that year as well. Yes, it was Craig McHale-Smith when he came up, and Aaron McLean. It was a good team. George Boyd as well. Lovely team. Just shit.
Clearly not that good. What was the points tally?
It was 34 points. 34 points.
Okay.
So we're creeping up. Do you want a bit of a clue? It's not really
I'll take a clue.
It's not really a clue. Both the teams that you need to guess got 36 points each.
Not really a clue at all.
It's not a clue at all. No.
Okay. Who else has been relegated?
Who else has been relegated over the last 20 years?
God, this is a tricky one. I'm going to throw Wickham at you, but I think that's a poor one because I don't think they actually did that badly.
It's a poor one. It is a poor one. They did all right. It was a high-scoring season that year. That was I want to say it was a 21-22 year when Barnsley went down. Or maybe, no, 2021. Anyway, you've got one life remaining. These are the two toughest ones.
Yeah. It's tough because no one else is really sticking out to me because we've named a load of shit already. I've got two in my mind. I would say the most likely one out of the two is probably Wigan. You're incorrect, Ryan. You're falling foul to Simon Grayson and his hateful ways. My other one was going to be Sunderland. No, incorrect again. No, also incorrect. Fair enough. What are the answers? Leeds in the 06-07 season. They went down with 36 points. They got a points deduction. They were deducted 10 points. But, they finished with 36. And then it was a Doncaster of the 11-12 season. They finished with 36 as well. That was the year that they had, I think it was El Hadj Diouf, Habib Bey. Yeah. Harita Alunga. Yeah, it was a weird year for Doncaster. For the Championship, really. Yeah, I should have got Doncaster. Although it's forgettable that they're in the Championship at some point, wasn't it? It was so long ago. Weirdly had Billy Sharp up front as well. They had a pretty decent team at one point, didn't they, Doncaster, actually? Yeah, mid-2000s, yeah. Not this decade. Well, last decade. No. Definitely not this decade. A long time ago. Anyway, that's Simon Grayson, Take for Late. And this has been the Second Tier Podcast. And we will be back again on Thursday to give you a roundup of everything happening in the Championship over the next few days. We've also got a random game happening on Tuesday night as well, Birmingham v Middlesbrough. So we'll have a lowdown on that as well. So we look forward to seeing you then. I'm at Cheltenham this week, Justin. Good for you. Really, really pleased for you. I'm really looking forward to it. And if any listeners are going to be there, then pop over and say hi. If you're not going to Cheltenham, we'll see you on Thursday. This has been the Second Tier Podcast. I've been Ryan Dilks. I've been Justin Peach. And a big thank you for listening.